Hello everybody. I wanted to make a quick little video while the direct is nice and hot and fresh to talk mostly about the returns of some relevant Pokemon for Gen 9 OU whenever that rolls around. So that should be a pretty interesting thing to look into. Now, the reason that I'm not particularly going to be talking too much about like terastallizing and all of that is mostly because I don't think we have enough information to make any conclusions about it. We know that it's a type change kind of thing going on. We don't, but the thing is, they were kind of vague in the direct. They didn't really get a lot of clarity on what exactly terastallizing means. Or like I guess like the contingencies of it. So, for example, we don't know if it's nature based. We don't know if it's limited by move pool. We don't know if the power boost is contingent on the type in question. So things like that, for example. So even though it's all pretty fun, dandy, and interesting, and I mean, like, look at that. He's got the little guys rolling around. They're so cool. Um, I do really like. What we see here for the most part. It's pretty neat. So overall, so far, to preface, we know that the oh, this is now updated with all the important Pokemon. So some very big Pokemon that were revealed in this trailer, which we will be talking about, and any implications that might have on next generation of OU. So to preface this, we already knew that the Magneton line was in the game, so that would be Magnezone, Steel type trapping. We knew that Gengar was in the game, really big Ghost Breaker, especially now that it has a nasty plot. And we also knew that Salamence and Blissey were in the game too. So those were also pretty big. So actually got a lot of. Oh, and we also had Pelipper too. Pelipper is a really good rain setter. So we knew that. But now we got a lot of new Pokemon revealed through this trailer because there was a lot of gameplay that we got. So I wanted to talk about those. So obviously we already know the implications behind Salamence, for example. Salamence, Dragon Dance guy, now has heavy duty boots, so its defensive utility can shine a little bit more. You've seen that in SSUU, especially. Um, though Dragon Dance with Moxie and Intimidate, really strong in general. Let's talk about some of the new guys. The new guys are very fun. So I'm just gonna kind of scroll down here, based on Dex order. So one of the big ones, probably in my opinion, one of the biggest ones that we got is Slowbro / Slowking. And for those of you who might not be too aware, this Pokemon line had a bit of a rocky a Gen 7 and Gen 7 for the most part. However, in Generation 8, they gained access to a new tool called Teleport, which basically, in tandem with Regenerator and Future Sight, made them really good defensive pivots and also really strong progress makers. So between that and really strong bulk, good resistances, we're going to be likely seeing these Pokemon be really important, especially since Toxapex is back. I can imagine Future Sight will be really important in Gen 9 OU. So this is pretty big. I really like that they're back, mostly because, again, Toxapex, Future Sight is one of the main ways you can pressure Toxapex in Gen 8 OU, and now we kind of have that dichotomy and that relationship back for Gen 9, which should be interesting. I wonder what ways people find a way to take advantage of it. So, obviously, Magneton, we already know about Gengar. Gengar's a pretty big deal. You got Chansey, Blissey, really good special walls. Okay, this is another really big thing. I guess we can loop these together. Scyther, Scizor, really, really big, in my opinion. Well, maybe not super, super big, but I still think it's a pretty big deal. So Scizor, I guess we can just scroll down to Scizor. Scizor is already like a pretty. Okay, where are you, Scizor? Come on. What? Okay, we saw Scyther there, but Scizor was. Okay, this needs to get fixed. But Scyther, my point is, I saw Scizor in there too. So Scizor being back pretty much means we're gonna have a pretty good Steel type pivot, and also Technician Bullet Punch, pretty big deal. You got Swords Dance, really good at cleaning things, great defensive utility. Bulky SD is really good. But Toxpex being around is definitely a little annoying for that. But the fact we have Magnezone is pretty good for that as well. Though I can imagine Scizor would be a pretty good Pokemon starting into Gen 9. Or at least being like a Pokemon that people try to throw on as like a glue of sorts, which I think would make a lot of sense. Again, just to again clarify, all of this is just like preliminary speculation. I don't expect, expect all of this to be correct, but so Scyther in and of itself, I mean, it's got Technician Wingbeat. I don't know if the Isle of Armor Tutor is going to be back, but Wingbeat was a pretty big deal for Scyther. It pretty much has a recoilless Brave Bird. Are you gonna do about Gyarados? I'm pretty sure at least. Gyarados clicks Dragon Dance. Same abilities as Salamence. Alright, so Dragonite. Big deal. So Dragonite is has heavy duty boots, multi-scale, which is kind of big. Really good defensively, really good sweeper. Especially with all of its coverage. It's great bulk, great defensive typing. Now I'm not sure if I'm not sure if they're striking items and are any of note from Gen 8 or not Gen 8, sorry, Gen 9. I'd imagine that we would be keeping heavy duty boots, but I would imagine I could see the Isle of Armor moves not being a thing. Which for Dragonite would also like it's a thing for Scyther, but it would also be a thing for Dragonite too, because Dual Wing Beat was one of its primary attacking moves in Gen 8, or is rather. So I can see that being a little annoying for it, but I mean like it doesn't entirely need it because in Gen 9, or not Gen 8, man, I'm really mixing these numbers up. I'm sorry. But in Gen 8, it also used sometimes it doesn't even use its stabs. Like Ice Punch, Earthquake is a pretty common, is pretty common in and of itself on Dragonite, with like Dragon Dance, Roost. Roost to keep healthy, just Dragon Dance several times, and then you could just kind of spiral out of control if you don't have like status or something. But yeah, Dragonite coming back is a pretty big thing. I could see its defensive utility being pretty important as well. So Azumarill, Azumarill is pretty cool. That's a pretty big one, I think, because Water Fairy, great defensive typing. It has some defensive utility. I mean, we've seen Assault Vest before. We've seen, you got the random Perish Trapper. Don't know. I feel like Whirlpool is a transfer move or like Perish Song. I don't remember, but Azumarill, huge power, obviously, pretty big. It'll click buttons. It'll do damage. Alright, so this is... I don't expect Honchkrow to be super good, but I love Honchkrow. It's one of my favorite Pokemon, so I'm very happy to see it back, and I'll probably be trying to make it work. I really like Honchkrow. Right. Fortress is back. I don't think Fortress is going to be that big a deal, to be honest, but it is a Spiker, and Rapid Spin user. I could see people trying to mess with that. Like, kind of like how... people try to mess with Fortress in BDS POU when it first started out, but then just Scizor. But the fact that Scizor's back is just kind of like, I don't suspect Fortress will make that big a splash, but I could see people trying to use it as for like early on bulk compression. I feel like that would make sense. But again, depends on power level, depends on what new Pokemon we got. Blissey. Donphan's being back is pretty cool. It's a really interesting Pokemon because it's got an interesting Assault Vest set. It can be quite good with Assault Vest. It's got crazy coverage. It's got Ice Shard for some reason. Knockoff, Rapid Spin. I could definitely see Donphan being a solid like tank. Pelipper. We are definitely having weather. Weather is a variable here. We got Tyranitar and Pelipper. Gardevoir being back. Okay, so Gardevoir is the first Pokemon on this list that I'm a little unsure about. And the main reason for that is because I don't know if the Legends Arceus moves are actually going to be transferable to Scarlet and Violet. Because in Scarlet and Violet, Gardevoir got access to Recover and Ice Beam, which are both very... I think Ice Beam may not that big a deal, but Recover is monumental. Because that basically gives Gardevoir's much more, like, dedicated defensive utility, or it could, like, be more dedicated, like, offensive check to quite a few Pokemon. So if it does get Recover through Legends Arceus, I think Gardevoir could actually be a legitimately viable OE pick. Because it's got really good coverage, it's really strong. And again, like, oh yeah, and Terastallizing could actually heavily shake up a lot of the options here. That's the other thing. Hariyama being back is cool. I don't think it'll be that good, but Hariyama's epic. Altaria's back. That's epic. I already talked a bit about Mence. Mence was already in the first trailer. But yeah, Salamence, I don't suspect. With Dragonite being back, I actually am unsure if it'll make it to OU this time around. I could see it being like UUBL, depending on the power level. Because I don't imagine it would be the most fair thing if the power level is lower. It's already a really good Pokemon in SSUU. Yeah, I mean, it does still have Intimidate and stuff, so who knows? Staraptor was already in the first trailer. I love Staraptor. Probably UUBL again. It just presses buttons, you know? Alright. Drifblim's back. I like Drifblim. It gets Mystical Fire through Legends Arceus. Lucario's Lucario. Magnezone's Magnezone. Luminion's back. Now, Luminion, I don't expect it'll be OU viable, but if Legends Arceus is anything to go by, it gets Roost. So that's kind of cool. I don't remember if Rotom was in the original trailer. Oh wait, are these are the ones that were just added in this like lighter color? That would make sense. Yeah, you know what? Actually, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's something that's actually pretty useful. So Mismagius, if that's the case, then Mismagius, Honchkrow, Loveless Honchkrow. This would mean the evolutions are back, so that means Sylveon is back. But we also have Florges too, but Sylveon's just better. Rotom's back. That's a big one. Oh, Rotom is absolutely huge. Now, what form? I think if we're going by Heavy Duty Boots being back, it could be another Roto Heat versus Rotom Wash situation, but I think Roto Wash is just more consistent. Doesn't need boots, just better resistance. I think, they both have really good resistances. Not really comparable. But I think, I definitely think Roto Wash's defensive, I think Roto Wash is just generally more consistent defensively. Roto Heat is a pretty good fairy check. So that's pretty nice. But yeah, no, I mean, these Pokemon are going to be really huge. I can imagine they'll be like, I mean, with how much roll compression you get out of the Rotom appliances, it's like defensively, they're just like so good. You could just throw them on offense or like bulky offense, and you get like like a good pivot. You get good defensive. You get good resistances. You get like defog if you really want that. You have status. Like, no, this thing's legit. So okay, I love Eelektross. It's not gonna be viable, but you'll post. I love this Pokemon. Hydreigon's another. I think Hydreigon's another pretty big one. Considering we're gonna be having like the Slow Twins around and Toxapex. Oh, I can imagine Hydreigon's gonna be quite solid actually, because like I mean like what Nasty Plot. I can imagine like Nasty Plot Roost to attack being quite good, or just like Nasty Plot sets in general. I think Nasty Plot would probably be the way to run it. But I mean like Hydreigon brings some pretty good stuff to the table because it's a Hydreigon. I mean, there's not a ton to say about Hydra, but like I think like Nasty Plot, if like TRs are still a thing, or if like you can still naturally learn Nasty Plot, that's pretty big for it. I think like that's like the way you're gonna get value out of Hydra. Though I could see like specs or like more dedicated defensive sets working because it does still get like U-turn and stuff, and it gets defog too. So yeah, I think Hydra could be pretty cool. I don't suspect it'll be like it'll be a pretty solid wall breaker at the very least. Considering that there are Pokemon in this game that it can exploit, which are Pokemon that it naturally exploits in SSOU anyway. So yeah, I think Hydra would be cool, but I think it depends on if it keeps Nasty Plot. Good defensive roll compression too. Florges, Go-Goat's back. I love Go-Goat. Noivern's back. Shout out Lily. You're gonna have fun with that one. Rock. Oh, Lycanroc being back. Okay, so that's actually pretty nice. Specifically as a Dusk Lycanroc, or aka Murder Dog, my beloved. I don't think it'll be like, I don't think it'll centralize anything, but I think it'll be solid at the very least. I think it's, I mean, like what, like you get SD, CC. I think this is another Pokemon that's a little dependent on if it gets CC because close combat is such a big deal because it covers so much like neutral ground for it, given its Rock Stab. Like you get a lot of coverage between close combat and Stone Edge. So I mean, I don't know. I guess like it's dependent on if it keeps close combat. But it could be pretty good. Toxapex is stupid bitch. Zarina's probably gonna be like, I don't know. I mean, it was already in the game. Hatterene. All right, I love this Pokemon, but aside from that, Hatterene being back is kind of interesting. Now I think Gardevoir being around is weird because again, if it gets Recover, I could see Gardevoir just eclipsing Hatterene outright, but if it doesn't get Recover, I think Hatterene will probably be pretty decent. I mean, between AV, you got Trick Room. It'll for sure be like the star on Trick Room. It'll be a star on Trick Room because it's already such a good Trick Room Pokemon between like Magic Bounce and like Healing Wish slash Misty Explosion, and it's really slow. It's really strong. It has Mystical Fire. Yeah, I'd imagine it's gonna be quite okay. I'd imagine it's at least viable because of Trick Room, but like I could see Gardevoir just outclassing it, depending on the situation. If it gets Recover, that's like the big thing. Um, Caparaja, I don't know. Um, Caparaja is weird. I don't think. I think it depends on if we get any good steals, but again, the fact that Fortress and Scizor, mainly Scizor, no, what am I? Why am I prefaced that with Fortress. No, Scizor. Scizor being around is a really big deal. I don't suspect Caparaja will make the cut because of that, but I think it'll be pretty good in lower tiers. It's already pretty good there. Noivern will probably be pretty good in lower tiers. Or UU probably. Let's see. Am I missing anything here? Yeah, I said Sylveon already. Sylveon is just kind of better than Florges, I think. Mostly because of the fact, I think at least because of the fact it gets Pixelate Hyper Voice and Mystical Fire. The fact it gets Mystical Fire means it's not dead weight against Steel types, whereas Florges loses to every Steel type in the game. So I'm trying to see if there's anything I missed here because I very well could have. As long as Gengar's around, I don't see Miss Magius. Don't see Miss Magius doing much. Let's see. Gardevoir, Donphan. Yeah, I think I mentioned all these already. So yeah, I guess just real quickly, I think Scizor is gonna be really good. I think Slow Twins are gonna be really huge. Arcanine might be okay. I guess it depends. This Pokemon better be this thing gets water absorbed. So I imagine it's like alright. It'll be at least like okay. It gets Poison Point too. I'd imagine it's like I have a friend who mentioned that if this thing gets Unaware, then it would be the first Unaware Pokemon, or at least the one. It would be a Curse user that's immune to Toxic with Unaware, and I think that's kind of cool. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, I think we're gonna. If I had to say, I feel like we're gonna see a metagame that feels pretty similar to Isle of Armor, SSOU Isle of Armor. Mostly because like I'm noticing we aren't really getting so far. None of like the big threats of Crown Tundra have been revealed. We haven't gotten anything on Garchomp. I think the only one that got revealed here was Salamence, but Salamence. Dragonite, obviously Dragonite. But Slowbro is pretty big. We got Magnezone, we got Scizor. I could definitely see a very Isle of Armor style meta. I guess it just kind of depends on if like we have any like notable grass types, right? Because Amoonguss and Rillaboom are pretty big. But so far we haven't really gotten any that I see here. I mean, I guess like Zarina's like probably okay. It's got good roll compression, rapid spin and stuff. I actually don't know if we got any good grass types yet. So I guess it depends, because if we see, but like I mean the fact that there's Toxapex here, I could see like a very like, I guess we could see like a lot of like Isle of Armor style offense is what I have if I have to guess. But like, you know, feature some stuff like Dragonite on like Volturns or something of that vein. But I think if I had to guess, it'd be something like that in terms of like what'll be good and what kind of roles these Pokemon fill. But again, obviously this is all like super like very little going to go off of here, considering we don't know how Terastallizing will work. We don't know if we'll get any like big Pokemon from Gen 9 in terms of viability. C-type, this thing apparently gets like Slush Rush, which might be pretty cool for Hail if it has good offenses and good coverage. Yeah, I think that's probably gonna be it from me. Yeah, so I just mostly wanted to go over that. If you have any cool and epic observations or anything you're interested in regarding what you think this metagame will be like, or any Pokemon you think might actually be okay that I might have missed, feel free to say so in the comments. I would be intrigued to know. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching my little rambles. I will see you on the flip side. Yeah, take care. Bye.